Ladies and gentlemen, good evening, and welcome to today's episode of Session Zero, an episodic Dungeons & Dragons adventure featuring myself, Josh Hayes, as the Dungeon Master, and our fantastic cast of players. Let's just go through and introduce everyone. You guys, if you're regulars, know everyone already, but let's just, for the sake of anyone new joining us, go around everyone else. To start off with, on the top left-hand side, we have our Barbarian, Rage, darling. Rage, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, I'm Rage, darling. I'm an MMORPG content creator here on the land of Twitch. But for Session Zero, I play a Barbarian called Rage, who isn't the best at being a Barbarian. She's quite scared and has a few issues to work through, and tends to she's not very good in the face of men, as we found previously.
No, when being presented with confident, capable, powerful men, Rage's persona of this, aggressive, angry woman tends to flake down, and you're quite meek then, aren't you, really?
A good snort.
Yes,
yeah.
We've got to have the good snort.
I can
Callum,
snort my way to victory.
Callum, please tell us a little bit about yourself.
I am a YouTube content creator, a Twitch live streamer. I cover scams, and that's about it. I make some other stuff here and there, but I am a bard called Donovan. I've got my flute, which I'm not going to show you yet because there's a big reveal with the flute.
Big
But
flute
that is
reveal.
me.
You've heard
Big
it here
flute
first.
reveal.
Guys, if you're in the chat right now, Callum will be revealing his flute later.
Just whip it out.
Yeah, that's not even going to go on the OnlyFans. It's just going to be straight on this stream right now. And last but not least, Billy, tell us a little bit about you.
Do you know what? After hearing that, I've got nothing to say about myself. My mind's gone blank now. Hi, I'm Billy. I make content on all the places because I have no life. I'm playing the Sourceress Trixx, and she has a lot of fun powers that we've been discovering, including some kind of creepier ones. So stay tuned for those.
Yeah, you had a bit of kind of blood magic thing going on, didn't you?
I'm really excited for more of this creepy kind of magic.
Yeah, there was some kind of necromantic power going on, but not of dead things, like necromancing stuff that's still alive. That turned out to be your specialty. It was very creepy. For those of you who haven't been involved before, every episode of this is episodic. You do not need to follow through the campaign. This episode does follow on from the last, but if you didn't catch the last, quick recap. They found some evil nuns effectively stealing and then killing some kids. And they have freed a couple of the kids from the evil nuns and fled into a nearby forest. This magical, special, evil forest. We don't know too much about it yet. This episode is not going to be too much about combat or too much about fighting things. This is going to get quite psychological. This is going to be the characters, and they don't know this yet. They don't know any of these plans. I know the plans. I have 5 lines worth of potential adventure written down. Everything else is made up off the top of all of our heads. There's no planning in this. They are going to face their fears, and they are going to potentially kill a demon. Oh yeah, we're all excited now. So, you fled into this forest, away from the orphanage and away from the evil nuns. You still have 2 orphans with you. Their names, Rage, I'm sure you remember them. What were their names again?
Barbara,
Barbara, the orphan?
no,
Hannah and
no,
Barbara
Hannah...
were the names of the evil nuns because it was a piss take of Scooby-Doo.
Yes.
The orphans, one of them was called...
You know, the ones that look like children.
Annie.
Josh
and Annie.
Yeah.
Brilliant, fantastic. Okay, so just going to write this down. The orphans, Josh and Annie. Cool, there we go. The orphans Josh and Annie have been following you into this forest, away from the evil nuns. The forest is getting darker and darker and denser and denser. Trees, branches, horrible gnarled roots on the floor, sometimes dry leaves fluttering down. In the distance, a squirrel runs up a tree and then over more trees and then more squirrels. An acceptable amount of squirrels runs up and across the trees, and over in the distance there's a bird, multiple, not too many birds, not like you'd be like, that's a lot of birds, just a the amount of birds you would expect to see in a forest is in this forest.
Okay.
How convenient.
Good
It is.
job.
Yeah, and then there's a fox behind a tree. He's not like playing hide and seek with you. He isn't aware
Just out of
you yet.
sight.
Just out of sight. He's not hiding, but there is a fox. There might be another fox. We don't know. We haven't found it yet. Callum, how are you feeling about attempting to hunt down these evil nuns in this strange, foreboding forest?
I'm quite confident about the nuns. I'm a bit uneasy about the perfect amount of each animal in this forest, though.
It's almost like it's been planned.
It's unsettling.
It is
exactly.
unsettling.
It feels like a set that's been made by someone.
It's if you look down, ants in a perfect line carrying a twig.
It's unsettling.
To their ant nest. This is a very alive forest, is what I'm trying to get at. So it's a beautiful place. Have you experienced a forest before, Callum? Have you ever camped out?
I have experienced a forest. It wasn't camping, though. This delves a bit into my past. So I was a criminal on the run at age 16. I stole some flowers from a witch's garden to give to my girlfriend, and I was being hunted. So my experience with forests, they're not great.
Who was hunting you?
The witch. And the whole coven of witches were after me.
The whole coven of witches. How many witches were in this coven?
At least 4.
4 witches in the coven.
The perfect amount of witches for a
Perfect
coven.
amount of witches. An acceptable amount of witches.
An
were chasing
acceptable
you,
amount, yeah.
And they chased you through a forest.
They did.
So memories of you, as far as forest goes, is being chased by witches.
Yes.
Must be some fear there. Billy,
There is.
have you ever experienced a forest in your character's life?
Not as much. From my home, we looked out onto forests, but I never really did any exploring or anything like that. It wasn't really a thing for my family. Didn't need to go into forests.
Because you're a magic user, and a lot of your magic seems to stem from blood manipulation or from any kind of life force training, and you don't really know how effective your magic is going to be on plants or on trees. Do you feel a magical connection? Are you kind of part druid, or is this a bit weird for you?
It's a bit weird for me, just from growing up in like a household where everything is kind of done for us. We don't really need to go outside and chop wood or anything like that. So this will be a new experience.
And Rage, what is your character's experience with forests?
Well, I live in a hole in the forest with the slug. So I'm quite comfortable in forests. But when I live in the hole in the forest with the slug,
There's only one slug, wasn't there?
it's just one.
That
Yeah.
is a much smaller number of slugs than I would expect to see in a
Yeah.
hole.
Yeah, well, I have a friend that likes to eat slugs, and I told them like they weren't supposed to eat the slugs because slugs, they're just dangerous, right?
So
But
your
he was
house is like a
"No."
buffet to them.
Yeah, pretty much. But he likes wiggly little slugs. But there's one slug that I like, so I've kept this slug away from him. But I've been away from a hole for a while, so I don't know if the slug's going to be there anymore. Anyways, I digress. I don't mind being in forests so long as I'm with my friends or someone that I can trust, because I don't want. Who wants to be alone in the forest?
Nobody wants to be alone in the forest. That'd be a crazy thing. But thankfully, you're not alone. First of all, you have each other, and then you have 2 small orphan children with you who you've rescued, who definitely won't be narrative hindrances. One of them, little orphan Annie, looks up at Callum and says, "It's scary in the forest. Are you going to protect me?"
Might bonk you with my flute, but until then, I will try and protect you, yes.
And then little orphan Josh looks up at Billy and goes, "Yes, it's very scary in the forest. How will you protect me?"
We have to protect you? Fine. I have fire, I guess.
In a forest.
The orphan's eyes kind of widen when you mention fire in the middle of a forest. Quite dry, sticks, wood, of all the places you're in, this is probably the most flammable that you're ever going to be. But you're there. You continue to walk through the forest, and by now you realise that the sun has set. The moon has risen. Moonlight filters down through the canopy, and you are completely and utterly lost. You can't see any birds. You can't see the fox anymore. You can still see a couple of squirrels because they don't seem to be trying to hide from you. But you need to find a guide or a way out of this forest. Too big, far too difficult to get away. Rage, how do you think you are going to start to make your way out of this forest? How would you navigate through dense woodland?
Screaming very loudly.
Do you want to give that a go?
Yes.
Roll. Okay,
God.
describe the scream to me and then roll a d20 to see how effective it is.
Okay, this is the scream.
That's a solid scream.
Jesus Christ.
It's a 7.
It's a 7.
If that's a 7, I don't want to hear a 20.
There's a bit of a crack in the voice. There's a bit of warble going on, and the kids look at you and think, she just stubbed a toe really powerfully. Did she step on a very spiky leaf? Maybe she just walked through a cobweb that was strung from branch to branch. Who knows? But they're concerned. So you have not managed to locate a guide, but what you have given is the orphans that are with you cause for concern. Callum, what is your plan to get out of this forest?
Well,
You could just yell, but I think Rage has tried that.
yeah, I was going to say Rage's yell wasn't too successful. So I feel like, hitting a D sharp in the past has always, it's always done me well. So I'm gonna hit it with a swiggity swoop vampiric flute and see if I can get someone's attention.
Does the squirrels look over? Is there anyone specific that you're trying to get their attention of, or can you see anyone
Just-
around you?
Just anyone who's not a squirrel, really.
Because right now, the two orphan kids have just seen Rage step forward and yell for stepping on something sharp, and then you think, this needs a duet, and just suddenly start blasting out a little bit of melody on the
ballad.
flute going on. Billy,
Yeah.
you've just watched these two orphans see Rage stub her toe and scream, and Callum, accompany. What are you doing?
So what is directly in front of us? Are we following a certain path?
The path is kind of now melted away, and it is just crazy woodland. It is just very densely packed trees. It is sticks, it is stones, it is leaves, it is roots everywhere. You can't see too much around you. You can still see the squirrels, you can still see a bird in the distance, there's a fox there, and you think you might be able to see the silhouette of a human hunched over behind a small gnarled pile of roots. The yell kind of pushed him back a little bit, but then the flute intrigued him.
That's what we
are
go for.
What are you going to do now, Billy?
Yeah, I want to not approach, but can I produce some lights of some sort, some globules of light?
How are you
so
going to
I
do
can
this,
try
Billy?
and illuminate them.
Just be aware you're in a forest.
For once, I'm not going to use fire.
Thank God.
I just want to. Not yet. I just want to produce, just like a little orb of light, I guess, like from the center of my staff, just to kind of bob over
Okay.
to see if I can like illuminate who it is, to see if it's an actual person or just a silhouette.
Roll a d20.
It's another fox.
That's a 5.
Describe how you would hold your staff forward and do this. Describe what you want to happen.
It's kind of like a Hermione kind of swish and flick sort of action.
Okay.
So you gotta kind of
Like
whip
you're
it
going to
up.
lasso
I'm
a
trying
bit
to, like,
of light
get
going
the
on,
energy
and then you
for the
just kind of
light.
flick it toward... Because that's exactly what happens. You lasso, you can see the photons being drawn together, it swingles round, and then it gets flicked toward, and it flies through the air, and it illuminates very quickly the face of an old hermit, and then it pings directly into his eye, and all you can see is him go, ah! Ah!
Sorry,
Ow! Ah!
I didn't know you were real.
What else were you firing the light at?
Pile of sticks.
Well, there are piles of sticks around, you can't deny that. I see you travellers have travelled into the forest.
We have done so much travelling.
That's all
Yes.
we've done, actually.
Yes,
Yeah,
and now
travels.
you're in the forest. You're in the forest here. What brings you to this forest?
We're trying to find the way through.
There's no way through. This is the forest of the demon.
The demon?
Yes. Oh, this is a very
demon?
wise and ancient and old forest. Did you know that?
You probably should have put a sign at the entrance to this forest saying the Demon Forest.
Oh no, we couldn't get funding for the sign. People kept stealing it.
The council have turned it down.
Yes.
Yeah.
In many cities, in the universities and the colleges, stealing the forest demon sign is a rite of passage.
Right. Yeah, understandable.
Yes. Well, how much do you know of this magical forest, or shall I tell you the history?
How long is it going to be?
That was
Yeah,
gonna
how
be
long
my
we got,
question.
mate?
Is there a
'Cause we got
chair?
2 kids back here that, they
Oh,
want to get moving.
I'll tell them stories as well.
Well,
Great.
This
yeah. All right, tell us.
This is the forest of trees.
I thought it
Right?
was the Forest of the Demon.
No. This forest
Is that the
has
one next door?
The forest has many names. It's been known over the years as many things.
The plot's falling apart already. Right, the Forest of Trees got
Forest
you.
of trees. Okay. Also known as Forest of Demon.
Yeah, easy to confuse the
The
two.
Forest
Yeah.
of Trees
No,
has a demon.
They're the same forest, but we have both trees and demons.
Demons or demon?
Demon, one, singular.
Okay.
Do you know the name of the demon?
How
Is it
many names
Derek?
does he have?
No, just one.
Right, that makes
His
it easier.
name is Treeman.
Truman. Nice. Why? Why is it called Truman?
Treeman.
Not
Treeman
Truman.
the demon. This is the forest of trees.
So the demon is a tree?
Yes.
Oh. Does he look like a tree?
Yes.
What?
You've
what
seen
kind
him
of
then?
tree?
Just a tree.
Well, yeah, but there's many trees.
Just a tree in the
Oh,
forest.
Mr. Hermit Man, what kind of tree?
Yeah.
Yeah,
He
willow,
looks
oak,
like a-
maple,
He looks like he's got a thick, barky trunk and roots that go into the ground.
How does he
and
move? He's a tree.
He doesn't move.
Oh,
So we can just
I'm
Walk
suddenly
halfway.
suddenly less scared.
Oh no, because the Treeman's power is very psychological.
But if I just la
Oh, no, no.
la
Psychology doesn't go in through the ears. Psychology is
la, la.
Just the vibe.
Sorry, did you say something?
the general vibe
La.
of the general vibe of Treeman's forest is evil.
Okay.
It's
Wait, so it's called Treeman's Forest now. What's
Well, it's...
Treeman is the name
he
of
own
the
the
demon.
forest?
Treeman is the name of the demon who exists in the forest of trees, and he causes fear in you. Sometimes people call this the fearist, because it's a forest of fear. And to escape, you must defeat the demon.
We're going
right?
to need to branch out on ideas here.
Oh, for God's sake.
I would like you to leave.
We would also like to leave. Which way
Guys,
do we...
please, can we just get to the root of the problem?
I definitely think we are barking up the wrong tree.
I don't think you're
How are
taking
you
this demon
alive?
very seriously. How am I alive?
Yeah.
Oh, I live here,
Oh, where do you live?
in the forest.
Where?
Can you take us?
We're in the forest now.
Oh, yeah. Can we go to your house?
I don't have a house. I live in the
Live in a
forest.
hole?
Yeah, I'm a hermit. My name is Herman.
Him and the Herbert.
Yes.
Like it.
Yes.
But wait, have you got a toilet?
We're in the forest.
I don't want to... You come from a hole, darling. I didn't want to go there, but you can just make a new hole and...
It's pretty much, it's the forest. It's pretty much wherever you want to go. Just, this is not the problem we have right now.
Wait, hold on. Wait.
what's
No,
the
there is
problem I've
though,
got
because
right now?
what if she does a number 2 on the tree demon?
I think that would help more than anything.
I think that's not happened before. I would have to consult.
You haven't met our group.
No, I have not. But now I have. If you want to escape the forest of trees, you must defeat the Treeman demon.
Okay, where can we find Mr. Treeman?
I
Maybe we
don't
can have a word.
know. He looks like a tree.
Mr. Treeman!
Roll the d20.
5.
None of the trees reply.
Oh, I tried, guys.
Yeah. Okay. What do you know about Treeman, other than the fact he's a tree and in the forest?
If you enter the forest deep, Treeman will play on your deepest, darkest fears, and only by overcoming them will he let you out of the forest.
What if we just, kill him?
How would you kill a demon?
Cut it down.
What are they made of? Well, he's made of wood because he's a tree,
He's made of tree.
Burn him.
and trees
Burn.
don't like fire.
She's not wrong.
That could work. I don't know. All I know is that if you overcome the trials the Treeman will force you to take on, then you'll be free of the forest. But
How many people have seen Treeman?
a few.
Yeah.
How many have lived to tell the tale?
I don't know, because once I've given them the instructions to go into the forest, if they pass the trial, then they leave, and they don't come back and let me know they've passed. It's kind of a
Right,
one-way
yeah.
system into and out of the
How
forest.
many people have come through here
Oh, today or in general?
today?
3. 2.
Is that us?
5 if you include the 2 children back there.
Sake.
Oh.
Right.
that's-
Okay. I know you're a hermit, but have you got any family round here, like living with you?
No, they died.
Oh, why? How?
Why?
How? Why or how?
Why? God, why?
How?
How?
My father was crushed by a ship. He was a shipbuilder.
Wait.
That's a ship way to go out.
It's not funny. Many years
No,
ago,
no,
he
it's
was
not.
building a ship, and he was under the ship, hammering the bottom of the ship, and the slipway gave way, and the ship crushed him.
I apologise. That joke was a bit below the deck. So they died to a ship, right?
My
Ship
mother,
has sailed.
my
So
mother
how come you're
died.
allowed to live here?
My mother died at sea.
Billy, he's
She
talking about
drowned-
dead
she
families.
The ship she was on wasn't built very well.
Was it the ship that your
It was.
dad was building?
It was. There's a deep and powerful backstory here. But this is not what we're here to do. Yeah, it's all very tragic.
Yep.
And then after I saw my father crushed by a ship, and then my mother set sail on the same ship, and the ship sink and her drown, I thought, time for the forest.
I don't blame you. That's exactly what I'd have done.
Yes,
Right. I guess we need to go deeper into the forest then.
you do.
Should we head on?
I will, if you wish, look after the 2 orphans that are with you while you go and face
no.
the
Right,
trials.
Please do, please do.
No,
Let
we will
him-
keep them.
Do we have to?
Yeah, I want. Well, you can have one.
Rage, both the orphans, after
Oh,
seeing
no, that's
you,
Plot twist.
run to you and kind of grab onto you. As soon as you show any levels of affection whatsoever, they both run up and they're hugging you and they're hanging onto you. They see you now as this parental figure.
Oh, great. You've got custody of them for today then.
Congrats. They're now your problem.
Sticky children.
The hermit sits down on a gnarled roof and simply kind of bids you walk deeper.
We walk deeper then.
As you begin to push further into the forest, the trees grow closer and closer together. The gaps between them thinner and thinner, the bark rough, jagged on your skin as you try to push through the few gnarled gaps you find in between the twisting trunks and the lashing branches. And as you all push together, you realise that you're almost forging 3 paths as you push further and further apart as you go deeper and deeper into this forest. Rage, you're trying to bring these kids with you, but they seem to be lagging further and further behind, unable to keep up with the speed that you are moving at. Are you willing to slow down for them?
I feel like if I returned on the other side without any kids, someone would be a bit annoyed at me.
I wouldn't.
Well, I'd be annoyed at myself. We haven't managed to keep kids alive until now, so...
That is true.
Yeah, I'll start to sort of slow my pace a little bit. Not a lot, because I want to still teach them that, you know, lagging behind will cause you to die.
So you are leading these children, but you're also making sure to take care of them. Callum, as you push further and further in, you begin to notice growing on the floor around you flowers.
Oh.
Flowers that you remember.
I do. I daren't touch them this time.
As you step, you realise that the layer of leaves in front of you that you were about to step on is gently covering a flower, and you avoid it narrowly. And as you push forward and your hand reaches out to grab a branch, a little tiny petal blooms from the branch. As you push deeper and deeper, it's becoming increasingly difficult to not step on or touch any of these flowers. Billy, you are pushing deeper and deeper into the wood yourself. You realise that your path is diverging away at a diagonal, and even if you try and push back toward the other two, or the orphans, you seem to be heading further away. And as you grab a branch, you realise it's dead wood. There's no magical energy there whatsoever. No residual energy, no life force, no sap, no blood. It is just dead. And you feel, when your hand touches it, that magical energy is almost drained from you. How are you feeling with this?
I'm uncomfortable, and also as I'm walking through every new bit of tree I'm touching, I'm saying excuse me just in case it's the demon.
You've got to be polite, just in case.
Yeah.
You know.
Rage, you push forward and you realise the children are even further behind.
Oh, God.
One of them is struggling quite a bit to get over a branch, to get over a mossy stump that you found super easy. They're calling out for you to go back and help them.
Annie! Josh! Why are you taking forever? Come on!
The twee is slippery.
The twee is slippery! I'll show you what's friggin' swippery in a minute! Right, I'll go back and I'll get him.
Roll the d20.
I'm so glad I didn't have to take the kids.
4.
They'd been dead.
Little Josh stands up on a rock to almost show you how powerful he is, and as he does so, he raises his arms in the air in triumph. His feet sweep from under him due to the wet moss. He falls and cracks his hip on the edge of the rock before tumbling forward and bursting into tears, wailing a horrible, piercing, shrieking cry. He's in pain. What do?
I run over to him, and Josh! Oh my gosh! What? Where hurts? What did you do?
He just wanted to impress you. He just wanted you to see that he was capable, and now he can't talk. He is just screaming and wailing this horrible, high-pitched, warbling, piercing yell, this horrible childish cry. Little Annie is stood, watching, eyes wide, and the fear begins to take over her as well, and she begins to cry as well.
Right, Annie, see that flower there? Yeah? Go get it for me. Bring it here. Josh needs it.
Annie
and then
agrees, runs over and picks the flower out the ground, and as she does, Callum hears it. The cackle. The horrible, horrible, guttural cackle of the coven. You look behind you and you see, in the distance, 4 shadowy figures beginning to approach.
Oh, no.
Cal, who are these figures again?
It's the coven of witches that I pissed off by stealing flowers from their garden, which, by the way, I did not know was their garden. Apparently anything around their house is their garden, but they don't really have borders or boundaries. it's just kind of what they pick on the day.
Is this going to be your argument if they catch up to you? Be like, you didn't actually properly map out.
Exactly. There were no clear boundaries. I just picked a flower, and next thing I know, a witch just appears from behind a tree, and I'm in trouble.
You can feel them approaching towards you. There's 4 of them, and every step they take closer, they almost seem to grow in size, shadows getting bigger. You feel this primal fear, this deep-seated, horrible urge to run. What are you going to do, Cal?
I'm going to face my demons. I'm going to charge at one of them and just bonk them on the head with the flute.
Roll a d20.
Oh, boy. All right, let's... 19.
Ooh.
You run. Screaming. Is there a bit of a battle cry there going on as well?
Yeah, I just go... "Ay!" as I run and smack them with the flute. Just straight in the centre of the head.
You run straight toward. You lift the flute up. You can't even see the figure. You just see 4 shadowy ideas. And as the flute comes down, it passes straight through the blackness. And one of them dissipates. And the other 3 begin to cackle more and grow even larger. Billy, you can hear the wail of a child in pain in the distance. You can hear some weird war cry and just about make out Callum running forward and just kind of waggling the flute round in midair. But as you push forward, you realise that your hearing is getting worse. You can't hear much anymore. And you feel drained. You feel cold. And you start to feel empty.
I can't turn back because it just looks too muddled. I just want to keep pushing forwards because maybe if I can find a way out, then I can help the others. I'm just going to keep walking forwards.
You do keep walking. You push forward more. You step out and then you realise you've managed to step over a branch into a small clearing in front of you. And standing across the other side of the clearing is you. In a lovely, flowing purple and gold gown, holding a complex, twisted metal staff with various versions of metals and polished gems etched within, hovering just slightly off the floor, smiling, cackling, almost buzzing with a magical aura around her as she smiles at you, and you can tell that this horrible version of you feels absolute contempt for your non-magical self. How are you feeling?
That's me. But I'm me. Who are you?
As soon as you say that, a small flick of the staff picks you up and throws you hard against the trunk of a tree, knocking the wind out of you and having you fall forward onto the floor. If you could send a magical attack back, what would you do?
If I could send a magical attack back, it would be straight away to try and just stop the gravity around them so that they would stop floating, so they can't just float about the place.
Roll a d20 and see how well that goes.
11.
You raise your hand up. Describe how you would do this spell.
Normally I obviously do everything through my staff, but feeling this kind of magic go away, I'm trying to use more of like my base of my hands, get in touch with my body side and actually try to use it, just like rubbing my hands together, trying to produce some energy to create it out of my hands.
You feel nothing. You feel absolutely no arcane resonance, no arcane power within you at all. You are facing this horrific magical version of you, and you have nothing to fight back with magical. Rage, both the children are screaming now. They are yelling this horrible piercing yell. You aren't even sure if a human should be able to make this noise, but you need to push on and find this demon tree. What are you going to do?
God. Right. I'm going to wrap my dirty bandage around Josh's mouth. Like, gag him, so he can't scream. That's the right word to use,
roll
right?
a d20.
14.
It works. You simply take the length of bandage that you used to bandage up your bloody arm at one point and simply wrap it around his face, tying quite tight. And now the scream has been somewhat mitigated.
Okay.
But young Annie sees this and begins to cry even harder, realising that you're now potentially abusive. What are you going to do with that?
I look at Annie and I put my hands on her shoulders and I go, ah! Like that.
Roll a d20.
17.
You scream at little Annie. And as you scream, her mouth opens wider and wider and wider and wider, dropping down far lower than it should be able.
Nope.
And then you realise that there's multiple screams. You see her arms, and you realise that the rag she is wearing on her forearm, a cut of flesh, teeth underneath it, almost pulsing open with a scream coming out of it. On her leg, a cut of flesh, and again it pulses open with teeth crisscrossed underneath, and yells and screams coming out of that as well.
Jesus Christ. I take my big bonk bonk. I smoosh her.
Roll a d20.
Oh my god.
20.
No!
Describe the smoosh.
I am hammering a nail into the wall if it doesn't go in the first time again until it stops.
You realise that whatever this thing is, it isn't the orphans that you had with you. So you step back and raise your hammer up. The thing drops its arms down to its side. Its jaw drops all the way down, below its chest, down to its stomach. You can see the skin and the tendons of the side of its mouth stretching, and the noise just increases in pitch, increases in frequency, getting both high and low at the same time. Horrible. It reverberates around. More slices appear on its flesh and more mouths open up as you raise your hammer up and bring it down straight on top of this thing's head. 1 minute, it's there. The next minute, your hammer is embedded in the dirt, and there is a fine red mist in front of you. You almost close your eyes during the moment of impact, and when you open them again, tiny fragments of bone embedded in the trunks of the trees around you. Little strips of flesh hanging off the branches. Little drops of blood falling off all the nearby leaves, and a fine red fog in front. The young little orphan Josh is gnawing at the bandage in his mouth, trying to get it free to continue screaming. Callum, you have just heard the sound of a hammer impacting on the floor and then seen little bits of bone and flesh being thrown everywhere through the sheer explosive force, and these three shadowy figures growing even larger. What are you going to do now?
I am going to run the way I was going. I don't want to be near a mist of blood, shards of bones, or three witches. I'm just going to peg it.
You're going to run away.
Yeah.
Roll a d20.
11.
You run. You trip. You stumble. You fall, but you can just about catch yourself before you fall all the way over, and you continue going. What are you running away from, Cal?
All of this shit.
Why?
I want none of it. Like, I didn't take the kids for this exact reason. They're a hindrance. They're useless. I'm not going to go and take part in whatever's happening with those kids, and I am certainly not facing off against those witches. Not by myself.
Why
I am
not?
running into the forest. They're terrifying. They've been hunting me since I was 16.
And you're still running away from them.
Yes, because I'll tell you why, right? A little bit more about me. So, a curse was put on me by these witches. They asked me, what's my least favourite instrument? And I told them a flute. And they put a curse on me that I can never touch any other instrument other than a flute.
Hang on, so they actually did catch you originally?
Yeah, while I was there, I got caught. After the curse was put on me, I gave it legs, got out of dodge, and eventually found out that the girlfriend I was getting flowers for, one of the witches is now dating. So it's a loss all round.
Oh man, that is I was going to say it's a triangle. It's a 5. So it's a pentagon. That's what that is.
It's something.
It's a triangle with a dot in the middle that all the things connect to. Oh, that is complex.
Yes.
And how many years have you been running away from these witches for?
15.
15 years running away.
Yeah.
And now shadows of them appear. You take down one, and then you turn and continue running.
Yeah.
I think Treeman, the tree demon, has found your fear. Billy.
Oh, no.
You are fighting a magical version of yourself, except you have nothing. This thing is much more powerful than you. This thing can control gravity, the air, fire, ice, time, blood. What are you going to do?
I'm just gonna... I know I've got no magic. I can feel it. I feel drained, but I'm gonna try and channel my inner rage and just do what I think she would do in this situation and just run screaming straight towards them to take them down like a rugby tackle. I'm like, that's Rage's favourite move. I'm going to go for it.
You're thinking you don't have any magical powers, and so you're going to do what Rage would do.
Yeah.
Roll a d20.
4.
You do indeed channel the spirit of Rage. And you do what Rage would do. You yell. And you charge straight toward this magically enhanced version of you, which just casually glides to the side. It's hard to catch it. You run, it moves. You run, it goes up and over. It's toying with you. It's almost smiling, as it simply points 5 fingers on one hand and sends little tiny fireballs, little tiny sparks, just out to ignite the floor around you. Not enough to set the forest on fire, but enough to know that it's letting you know that it could. Anything else you'd like to try and do?
Damn, that's my move. I love fire. I'm getting angry now. Okay, that didn't work. I'm going to try and maybe do what Callum does instead. So I'm going to try just whistling really loud to see if I can, like, pierce through whatever this is.
So, just so you know, Callum, your power, according to Billy, is the ability to whistle really loudly.
I thought she was going to say she'd run
I don't have
away.
an instrument on me. I have my mouth. I can whistle. Hopefully.
Brilliant. Can you whistle in real life?
No, apparently not.
Okay, roll a d20. Let's see how well the whistle goes.
3.
You
Nice.
run toward this thing. You try to rugby tackle, it goes up and over. You run toward it, goes up and over. So you look at it and go... It is a bit confused.
That's good.
Keep
Well-
them guessing.
While you're attempting to take down a magical version of yourself, Rage, you have just turned a child to mist. And you can see another one trying to gnaw out. Now, you don't want to be alone. This thing, you realise, whatever it is, it's the only thing for miles around for you right now. If you get rid of this horrific, screaming abomination, you will be alone.
Oh.
It's gnawing.
Think,
And you can see the bandage in its mouth is beginning to fray as these teeth, covered in dripping blood from its own gums, begin to grind and cut through the bandage as well. Sweat
Stop!
dripping from its forehead.
Stop!
It doesn't listen to you. It keeps trying to bite its way through it.
And I grab the back of his head and I put it on the dirt. So he's face to dirt. And I say, stop! Stop it!
Roll a d20.
Works for
3.
dog.
3.
Bad dog!
You grab the back of this tiny abomination's head and it simply looks up at you, its eyes almost sparkling in anticipation of when it will be able to yell and scream again. It is difficult to move. And you realise now that its arms as well, its skin dry, cracked, and the cracks are beginning to split. And you can hear an almost demonic noise from between the cracks of its skin begin to seep out. Something like a church organ mixed with grinding nails as it begins to simply make noise by existing. Rage, what do you do?
I'm sorry, Josh. I slam my hammer.
Roll the d20.
8.
This is...
You raise your hammer up and you bring it down hard. The thing smiles, goes to dodge, but isn't quite quick enough. The edge of the hammer catches it on its shoulder. The hammer is so powerful, it doesn't necessarily break the shoulder, it rips it off. It simply cleaves it. And then standing there in front of you as the hammer embeds itself into the ground, 2 legs, a torso, and only 1 arm. A huge, big gash down one side of its body where the arm has been ripped off and the ribs are now exposed. The ribs themselves are shaking, grinding, giving you this horrible, deep, gnarled, almost fleshy tone. It is making noise by existing, and every noise it makes is grating to you.
Oh, hell no. No,
What else are you going to do?
I'm out. I'm running away.
You're running away.
I'm running away.
How?
Just in the opposite direction.
Roll the d20.
16.
The run is okay. You can tell, though, that you aren't making too much progress, because as you run, you glance behind you, and it is running after you, on its legs and single arm, bounding through the brush like a wounded animal, its head looking up, its neck cricked at an awkward angle as it pounces over all of the trees to get to you. Callum, you run, and you realise that Rage is running as well. You almost meet up as you two both sprint away together, and you realise that you are sprinting toward a clearing in the forest. You sprint in to the clearing, and all you see is a magically enhanced version of Billy floating in the air above you, and actual Trixx over on the floor. Trixx, how do you feel seeing these two sprint toward you?
I'm like, oh my god, thank God. Somebody who can actually do something now, because I am useless and I've got no more people to rely on to come up with ideas.
Run! Run!
Help! Help!
Run!
Callum,
Yeah.
Rage doesn't want to be alone. And because of this, she has made the choice to leave the abomination alive, because she would rather have a horrific hellspawn with her than no one. You have horrific memories of being chased by these witches, and even though you know you can defeat them, you are still deep down scared. And Billy Trixx, the sorceress, often faces the very real fear of existing without her magic. All of you have these weaknesses, and all of you have tried to take them on by yourself, but they're still there. You might be able to take on the other weaknesses, though. Cal, what would you do?
I am going to pull out my pouch of wooden nails that I would have had iron nails but traded them for wood for a vampire reason. I load it into my flute. Straight at Billy's mirror image.
Roll a d20.
4.
No. Oh no.
The setup was so good as well.
Don't do it.
Nice.
Oh, fuck's sake.
You load a wooden dart, a wooden nail, into your flute. You raise the flute up. You take a big, deep breath.
Why are you laughing?
You swallow the nail.
Callum!
I'm dying.
I run over to Callum, and I start doing presses
You hit him on the back in
Yeah,
order. Roll a d20.
that way. I was doing the other way, but the back's probably better. A 3?
You walk up to Callum after he's swallowed the nail. You look at him and just...
Just what I needed.
You slap him, not even on the back, just in the throat. You've got target fixation. You see that he's swallowed a nail. You look at him and think that shouldn't be there, and so you just slap him across the throat really hard. Just bang! It does not dislodge the nail. It just really hurts. Billy, you've just seen Callum swallow a nail. Rage run up to and slap Callum on the throat. What are you doing?
I'm going to try and do what Rage did, but hopefully successfully. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to aim Callum towards other me and then slap him on the back.
Roll a d20.
Human pea shooter.
It's 3.
Callum's throat is being used as a tennis ball in a very angry game of slaps. He's swallowed a wooden nail. Rage has slapped him one way. Billy, you've run up and thought, let's do the same. What would Rage do? Slapped him back the other. Callum,
Yeah,
you're in pain.
I am. Yeah.
What are you going to try and do? You need to dislodge this nail,
Yeah.
but you also need to deal with the 3 shadow witches and the
Yeah.
screaming hellspawn abomination child and the
got a
floating
plan.
magical Billy.
I've got a plan. As the abomination child's running towards us, I take a big jump and belly flop onto a rock, aiming right at him.
Almost as if you're going to kind of pressure shoot
Yeah.
the nail
You
out
got
of
it.
your own mouth.
Yeah.
Roll a d20.
You're gonna
I
win
love
yourself.
D&D.
Oh, please. Oh, 19?
Nice!
Yes! Pea shooter Callum!
Having been slapped on the neck and then slapped on the other neck, you realise best belly flop. So you run toward the screaming child, leap up into the air and slam your stomach on the floor. You cough. A small, wooden, partially digested nail flings itself out of your mouth, spinning over and over. This little hellspawn abomination child runs, and this nail sticks straight in the windpipe. And the moment it does, silence. It stops. It simply stands there. And then turns around and walks back into the forest, out of sight.
Nice.
Rage,
Yes.
you've still got the 3 horrific shadow witches approaching, and you've still got the magical version of Billy, which at the minute is just confused by what Callum's done.
Alright, well, in that heat of confusion, I turn around and I charge for the floating lady.
Roll a d20.
14.
What do you want to do?
I want
Charge.
to charge, jump, and I'm going for the ankles, and I'm going to do a sweep, and slap her down.
Right, so
On the
there's a
floor.
floating Billy in the floor, in the air, and what you want to do is run up, grab them, and just kind of slam them onto the floor.
Yeah.
You've run, you've jumped, you've grabbed. She's looked down and is unaware. Roll a d20 to see how successful the slam is.
13.
It's not the best slam, but it's definitely powerful. You simply bring her down hard onto the floor. Very, very close to Callum. You nearly just slammed this magical Billy on top of Callum on the floor. In fact, Cal, you're on the floor still after coughing this nail up, and then you hear a thud, look to the side of you, and see a magically enhanced Billy kind of have the wind knocked out of it for a second. The magic is powerful, but physical will still work. Billy, what are you doing? You've just seen a magically enhanced version of yourself being taken down by an angry barbarian just grabbing their ankles and slamming them onto the floor.
I wanna. Do I happen to have any other maybe smaller, tiny little like letter opener dagger on me?
All there is around you right now are lots of very small, very sharp bits of wood.
Okay, great. So I'm gonna take one of those and just stab it into her neck and try and see if she actually bleeds.
Okay, roll a d20.
9.
You pick up a small bit of wood. You run over and you just... It's not really like an epic jab. It's more like you can see there's a moment where you kind of hesitate and then you just go for it, but not very quick. So it's just kind of a... And you just... It's almost like you're just putting the wood into the neck. You're not really stabbing. You just kind of... This goes here. It's like one of those shape games, but you just... This wood goes in this neck. And out of it, a deep, thick blue liquid begins to trickle. Not blood, but pure magical energy begins to seep out.
Is it like, can I tell it's magical and not just blue blood? Is it like...
No, you can definitely tell there's a magical aura to this thing right now. Callum, what you've seen, effectively, after this magical version of Billy was slammed on the floor, was actual Billy walk over, kneel down, hold a piece of wood up, and then just kind of go into the neck.
Ah. That's what I'd have done, just with a nail at range.
And as this magical energy seeps out, you see the entire body almost begin to deflate slowly. The skin begins to wrinkle and curl up, and it begins to slowly flatten until it's just a pile of robes on the floor. Cal, what are you doing? We've just seen Rage do this, and now as you realise that these 3 shadow demons are getting much closer to you.
Yeah, I pull out the nails from the bag, I put them between my fingers, sort of like knuckle dusters, and I run in for a good swing.
Roll a d20.
Wooden Wolverine.
That is a 9.
You run up Wooden Wolverine.
Wooden Wolverine,
Simply
yeah.
place the nails between you. You run up. You realise that you need something in your fist to physically have the heads of the nails kind of push against.
Yeah.
Not just your hand, but you do have
Flute.
something that would work perfectly.
Yeah, I've got the flute.
You take the flute in your palm, you put the wooden nails between, you run up, and you punch.
Bop it, yeah.
And every time you punch, you are punching so quickly that a little bit of air is just being pushed over the end of the flute, which means you're just getting... With every punch, there's just a little bit of flute going on.
Perfect. That's my soundtrack.
It
Keeping
is.
beat.
It's a beautiful beat soundtrack, and you punch your way through these shadows, and by the time you come to, they're gone. And you
Hell yeah.
realise that they may have cursed you to use the flute, but the flute may be one of your greatest strengths.
Yes.
Rage, you realise that being alone isn't so bad if the opposite is being with something that you hate. And Billy, you realise that you might not always have access to magic, but you can still stab things in the neck with a twig.
Hell yeah.
What a life lesson.
Which I think
Resourceful.
is an important lesson. Someone in the chat has just said that Callum sounds like Darude Sandstorm when punching really fast. Yes. If you punch to the correct tempo of Darude Sandstorm, you get a bonus when you're fighting.
Yeah, you do. It's a known fact.
It is known.
You have all
It is known.
faced your fears. Rage, you had to make the decision to potentially be alone. And you came to terms with that by turning a child into a fine mist and then running away from a screaming demon. Callum, you took your greatest weakness, the
Did.
flute, and turned it into your greatest strength, the punch flute.
Yeah.
And Billy, you took a stick and stabbed a doppelganger in the neck, which I think was the real lesson here. You realise by now that the clearing of the forest leads away to open fields, rivers, a village in the distance. And standing at one side of the clearing, Herman the Hermit, as he looks up at you. I see you've taken on Treeman, the demon, and succeeded. These are yours. He motions to the children.
You lied to us.
No, we didn't.
Yeah, you did.
No, what did
Yes,
I lie? What did I say
you
that was a
did.
lie?
You said that whenever we walk through the forest, whether we're successful or not, you never see the people. So if we're successful and you've seen us, then that means you've set us up from the very beginning.
Wait, or we're not successful yet, and there's more to come.
No,
Dun,
you're
dun.
you're successful. You're the only people to be successful. Well done.
Oh.
Very dangerous forest.
We noticed, yeah.
Right, take these children with you and go.
Come here, Annie. Come here,
You know
Josh.
what? You can keep them as payment for your guidance.
Callum, what?
Do you want to live in the forest with me, children? Little Josh and little Annie look traumatized. Okay? They've seen everything you've seen. They've seen you punch a shadow demon to death with wooden nails and a flute. They've seen you turn a small abomination child into fine mist and then grab a floating witch out the air and slam them onto the floor. Billy, they've seen you stab her in the neck. These kids are terrified of you now. Herman the Hermit might be a good influence for these kids.
I mean, they are homeless kids. They are parentless.
Not anymore, says Herman.
There we go.
They are now sons and daughters of the Forest of Trees.
Yes.
They will serve Treeman, the demon. Once I have gone, they will be the new protectors of the forest.
No, I'm not leaving children to serve a demon.
Did we learn nothing on this trip right now? We're going to leave the children. We're going on.
You can
We're
come back
going.
and
We're going.
visit every other weekend. Visitation rights for 5 hours.
Yeah, no need.
Actually, no. I will not dump children onto a stranger. I refuse.
But we're friends now. We met earlier.
He's right.
Oh, how about they live on the edge of the forest in a tent where that you can see that there's a village over there. Herman points, and over, if you look away over a rolling field, there is a lovely village.
Why the tent? Why not just in the village with humans?
Are you going to pay for the house?
Well, then they wouldn't. It wouldn't be a very good forest cult if you just lived in the village and then went to the forest. That wouldn't necessarily be living in the forest at all. That would just be people who visit the forest and have a connection.
Right, Mr. Herman, man, okay? These children have been through a lot, okay? They got taken from a village from their mums and dads to be ripped for some sort of weird blood sacrifice. We had to save them because Scooby-Doo didn't. We took them through a
killed
forest.
them as well.
Yeah, there was that.
Well, we took them through a forest where they saw loads and they just want to go home.
They don't have a home.
They might do.
This can be their home.
I don't want to give it to a demon.
Treeman's quite nice.
Yeah, he seems great.
He just shows you your biggest fear. Their biggest fear is being orphans.
Probably.
But they already are.
And they're all, I was going to say, and they're already orphans, so to be honest, they're immune at this point.
How about they live in the village 3 days of the week, and then I'll come with you right now, and we'll discuss a custody arrangement with whoever
Right.
runs that village.
Yes, fine. But visitation must happen.
Excellent. You, the orphans, and Herman the Hermit head over to the nearby village where you sit down with the mayor and organise both housing and visitation rights for the orphans that you had saved from the orphanage. They will live in the village for 4 days a week, working at a small greengrocer's, and then live in the forest for the other 3 days a week, where Herman will raise them in the ways of the forest. You've saved the children. How do you feel, Rage?
Very happy.
Cal, how do you feel? That you've not only overcome your fear, but you've given these children a new life.
I am happier than I could ever be. I'm going to be honest, not a fan of kids. It's never been for me. And especially when they have a tendency to turn into demons and like face big thing snappies. Yeah, no, not for me. I'm glad we got them gone, rehomed. It's all sorted.
Trixx, how do you feel having overcome your magical self, being a non-magical self, and you've managed to find these children not only permanent housing and residence, but also a cult on the side?
I mean, I'm kind of like proud of everyone for just like following what they truly wanted to happen. But I need to check that my magic is back, so I'm gonna just try and like make some fire.
Roll a d20.
Oh, no.
20.
No!
Yes.
No! No! I intercept any possible way
Are
that
you
I
still-
possibly can.
Are you
Billy.
still looking at the kids?
What do you want to have happen?
I just want to check that my fire works, you
Yeah.
know, like I haven't done any magic since it was taken away from me. This is my first time like, oh yeah, shit. I've got my magic back now. I can feel it. So I just kind of like, you know, like when you're trying to get a lighter to start.
Yes.
And it's just like that.
Where do you see your character being right now? In the village or back on the edge of the forest?
Choose very carefully.
Remember, it was 20. 20's good.
Exactly.
Yes, but Billy's also very, very evil.
Yes.
Very
Billy.
evil. Incredibly evil.
It happens to be next to the forest.
You're trying to kind of flick your fingers, and then you manage to get a solid click, and a tree 3 or 4 meters back from you just bursts into intense white-hot flames, and you hear a scream, and you hear Herman go, "Treeman!" as he runs toward the demon tree. And then only a second later, ash. Ash and dark, thick, congealed blood. You have freed the forest from the curse of Treeman, and the children will be safe.
You are welcome.
Hang on. Technically, the kids get 3 days off a week now because they don't need to protect the forest from treemen anymore.
No, they need to protect it from other people. This Treeman isn't there anymore. They're still in the forest.
Okay.
They are
They've
now
probably
going
got
to
bigger
be.
work week.
They are now the protectors of the forest. You have killed the tree demon at the very end of the adventure entirely by accident. Like, you went through the entire adventure not even knowing where it was, and then at the very end, when everything's safe, Billy just clicked her fingers and burst the
part of
demon
the
into
plan.
flames and burnt it down less than a second.
Yeah.
You've overcome your fears. You've found safe housing for these orphans. You killed the demon by just flicking your fingers at the end, not even caring that it died or lived, but managing to somehow get involved. From next week, your adventures will return, as you are, once again, free, travelling adventurers. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've joined us in the chat, remember that Session Zero, the name of this episodic weekly D&D session, is not only on Twitch, you can also catch all the older episodes on YouTube. You don't need to be here for every episode. It's all completely episodic. It's simply just catch whatever episode you can. We will be as well, if you are in the UK, at Insomnia Fest in Birmingham in August. Rage, are you looking forward to live D&D on stage again?
Oh yeah, I am. It was amazing last time, so I'm very much looking forward to it. And like, now that we have so many more people that are actually watching it, I'm hoping that you guys will be able to make it, because it's incredible. The interaction,
Yeah.
Seeing Josh throw a plushie at you is something you don't want to miss.
I have a big plushy
Yeah.
D20 that I will throw into the audience, name you guys thrown back at me. Session Zero is the title. I thought this was the first episode. Exactly. That's why we called it that. You might
Yeah.
join for episode 100, but you don't need to know anything that's happened before. Callum, how are you feeling about getting back on the stage and doing this again?
I am very excited to get back on stage. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, especially with my new character, who is obviously going to be at Insomnia. So, yeah, I'm excited.
And Billy, are you going to be casting some magic on the stage again?
Oh, do you know what? I have already started my costume upgrades, like legitimately remaking my breastplate and all this kind of stuff. I'm just so excited to show you guys what it's going to look like, because you know, I feel like we've maybe like had a little bit of a increase in quality since the last one, so it's just going to get better every time. You need to come and watch.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us for this episode of Session Zero. You'll be able to catch all of the other episodes that you've missed on YouTube. We will see you next week on Wednesday, as usual. Thank you for your time. Take care. Good night, and God bless.